Hi everyone, this is Mr. Volkowski. Happy ice/snow day. Um, Today I'm just going to briefly outline the PowerPoint and go over a couple of assignments that you will have due for when we come back, most likely on Friday. So let me first just go through the PowerPoint, and this is today going to be talking more specifically about fiscal policy. And what fiscal policy entails is just basically affecting the economy by making changes in the government's method of raising money as well as spending. So, in a nutshell, how government raises money, mainly through taxes, and then it will allocate the money from the revenue from the taxes and spend it based on whatever programs or bureaucracies that there are within our government. So let's first start with the major sources of income. You have federal income taxes. You have social insurance taxes, which include things like Social Security and Medicare. You also have sources of income in which the government will borrow money, mainly from Americans, in this case, in which they will raise money in the form of bonds. And then you also have a number of other small taxes as well. But really what allows for the government to enact an income tax is the 16th Amendment, as you know, based on knowing your 27th Amendment. In terms of federal income taxes, the largest source is of federal revenue, about 45%. And when we look at income taxes, it's based on a progressive method. And that basically entails the more money that you make or the more ability you have to pay, the higher your tax rate will be. So someone who's making between $20,000 and $30,000 might only have to pay 15% of that to the federal government, whereas if you're making over $100,000, you would have to pay 30% because you have a higher income and ability to pay. In addition, corporations do pay income taxes as well. About 14% of all federal revenue is from corporate income. Some people believe that should be a much higher rate, but that is more of a socialistic point of view and more of a liberal point of view, especially in today's heated political climate. Most citizens don't understand the complex tax code. That is why your parents probably go to an accountant or use TurboTax because they can't do it on their own. It is extremely complicated. There have been numerous calls to simplify the tax code, but that has yet to be seen. But it's a huge mess and it's very convoluted. Nevertheless, moving on. Social insurance taxes. This is dealing with Social Security and Medicare, two of the largest social insurance taxes. So Social Security referring to the pension that you would get, typically around 65, along with government health care known as Medicare. You might call these welfare programs, but they are a little bit different in the sense that you pay into them. So when you get a job and you look at your income statement, you'll see that money is being taken out, and those go to most likely Social Security and Medicare, amongst other minor programs as well. And this is what we'd call a majoritarian benefit, that it benefits the majority, as opposed to, let's say, an interest group of just a select few, as we studied during our interest group unit. So when you receive your paycheck, you'll notice that the employers have already applied these taxes because you are getting less money, but you are going to receive these benefits when you get older. And again, they account for about a third of all federal government revenues. That's a huge amount of money coming into the federal government. As I mentioned before earlier, borrowing, most is borrowed from taxpayers to fund expenses. And, at times you're going to have deficit spending where we're overspending. At times we've seen the deficit really dwindle down, especially during the economic booms in the 90s. But then under George W. Bush, as a result of 9/11 and two wars, well, deficit spending occurred once again. So it sort of ebbs and flows, as we saw the other day. We also have a few other minor taxes, but this accounts only for a smaller percentage of the income. You have an excise tax, which is on specific goods such as gas, cigarettes, air travel, even cell phones if you look closely at your bill. Now you also have what are called regressive taxes. As opposed to a regressive tax is one in which everyone pays the same percentage regardless of income. So a good example of that would be sales tax. Everyone pays 7%, whether or not you're making $1 billion a year or you're only making $10,000 a year. So a regressive tax is one in which everyone pays the same percent. You also have estates taxes. Those are levied on property and money that is inherited. Those typically are for people making $400,000 or $500,000 or more. And then you also have other minor taxes from customs, duties, tariffs, and that pertains, of course, to goods that are going to be imported to the United States. But again, the major ones are Social Security, Medicare taxes are the big ones. So where does all this money go? Well, we're going to see that when the president submits a budget, well, of course, the president and the OMB is going to comprise a budget based on all the revenue. And of course, Congress has the power of the purse. They have to approve it. What's interesting is that the start of the fiscal year for the federal government is October, so it runs from October to September of the following year. But the top three categories are entitlement programs, that's dealing with mainly Social Security and Medicare. National defense takes a huge chunk, and then also the national debt is a big amount as well. But you can see the president's proposed mandatory spending for the fiscal year of 2015, and you see just Social Security, unemployment, and labor just accounts for about 50%, and then you have Medicare and health for another 39%. So that is quite a large amount. So as I said earlier, you have various entitlement programs from Social Security. You have unemployment insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, retirement pensions for federal workers. And again, you're paying into these social insurance programs, and you will later receive this money back. So sometimes they classify them under welfare programs. I don't know if that's the correct category because you're already paying into these programs with the expectation that you're going to get something out. In terms of national defense, 23% of the budget. That is an astronomically high amount. That is an 18% increase from 2004. And then even a smaller amount going to the national debt, about 8%. But definitely entitlement programs, you'll hear a lot about that as to reforming Social Security because it's expected to eventually run dry. So especially with the baby boomers, that's becoming more of a problem. But in terms of democracy and economic policy making, voters definitely expect more of politicians than they can control. Certainly people think that politicians have this magic switch to help improve the economy. In reality, there's only so many things that they can do because we are a very large economy. So getting people from being unemployed to employed or getting growth in our country, it can be very difficult and it can take a number of years. But ultimately, in the whole political spectrum that we look at, liberals tend to favor more government spending on entitlement programs, while definitely conservatives favor less government approach in the economy. So that's where we'll stop here for now in terms of the notes. However, I do want to draw your attention to a video here about U.S. entitlement programs. This is only about a 4-minute video based on PBS Frontline. It's a very interesting video about Social Security, Medicare, and what to do about it because it's going to become something that the government's going to have to address relatively soon. In addition, you have these pages to outline in addition to the Chapter 17 that was supposed to be outlined for today. So please have that ready for Friday. In addition, I know I keep saying that word 3 times, I would like you to also complete this activity called Stabilize the Debt. In the event that we are not in school tomorrow, it will still be due Friday. Let me just briefly go through this. When you stabilize the debt, since we've been talking a lot about fiscal policy, you're going to use this website here. You can just simply click it. It will open up to a new link. It is a budget simulator, and you're going to attempt to stabilize the debt according to your political ideology. So if you're a liberal, then you're going to complete this activity from a liberal point of view. If you are a conservative, then go from a conservative point of view, as if you were the president drafting a budget. In the event that you are unable to stabilize the debt, then that's the case. So following the end of the simulation, I'm going to ask you to take a screenshot of your results, or you can just simply export it. You'll see that once you complete it, you'll be able to export it as a PDF. But simply what you're going to do is see the intro. It gives you some background. You're then going to hit next, and it gives you various options as to, for example, what to do in Afghanistan, or what to do after the sequester. And if you don't really know what that means, there's a little information box, and it will tell you exactly what it is here. So once you complete this part, hit next, and keep going on and on. But you'll notice here on the right-hand side the debt here, and it will hopefully go down as you begin to make the necessary cuts as you see fit. Should you have any questions, please let me know. Please make sure that this is uploaded on the Google Classroom by Friday. Again, if we do not have school, I do expect this to be completed by Friday, the outlines to be done, and if you could print a copy of this so we can discuss it on Friday as well. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. All right, have a good day. Thank you.